Hello, and welcome to Specialist Lending Solutions TV in partnership with Castle Trust Bank. I'm Shakina Sawahena, Commercial Editor at Mortgage Solutions in SLS. Today, I'm joined by Robert Oliver, Director of Sales at Castle Trust Bank, Anthony Rose, Director at LDN Finance, Chris Corns, Operations Director at Crystal Specialist Finance, and Richard Merritt, Head of Strategic Development at Simply Biz Mortgages. Thank you all for joining me. As well as investors becoming more diverse in their property choice and location, borrowers are becoming more savvy and coming from far and wide. So, Chris, how have changes in the wider society affected investment interest or opportunities for foreign nationals?
UK property's always been seen as a good asset, as a solid foundation for people to invest in. And historically, people thinking of foreign ownership will be thinking of your Russian oligarchs, your Chinese millionaires, etc., buying high-profile properties in London. More recently, we're seeing much more smaller investors, foreign investors, purchasing within the UK, and maybe owning one or two properties. So this would typically be new builds or properties purchased off plan. So this would likely be expats, it would be teachers working abroad, that kind of thing, that are still looking to maintain a footprint within the UK. So lenders are becoming much more comfortable with this scenario. And as with anything within specialist finance, most things can be done. It's all around lender criteria and making sure that your client can satisfy that. So yeah, we're seeing a big rise in, I suppose, the more unsophisticated landlord, I suppose, kind of a less professional. However, they're now purchasing one or two smaller investment units. I think that would also have been driven by the number of new build properties that have gone up in recent years. A lot of the PD stuff that's been done has been sold overseas as well. And then once you've bought one, and people get the habit and buy two or three more.
And what about investors from the UK?
Far and wide. We're seeing first-time landlords are still really popular. We're seeing much more in limited company incorporation. It's something that has been talked about for a number of years, but I think this year is the first year that people will see that zero mortgage interest relief on their tax returns. So when you actually see that in your pocket, it makes a big difference to your accountant telling you that in 2 or 3 years this will be happening. So that's an area of growth that we've really seen over the last 2 or 3 months.
And Richard, how can brokers and their clients educate themselves on the complexities of the market?
So we've touched on these sessions before, the fact that the market has become more specialist and it's definitely more complex from a buy-to-let point of view. I think in terms of how you go about accessing the information that you need, lenders have been great at providing updates on things. So there's a lot of guidance around, for example, the tax changes that Chris has just alluded to, being put out into the sphere by lenders. I think probably the key thing at the moment is through BDM engagement. We've had a period of time when BDMs haven't been able to operate in the way that they normally would. Lack of face-to-face, maybe pulled into other areas to help support payment holidays or even telephone lines with inquiry numbers. But we've seen a chunk of criteria changes in the market, and many lenders now are in a very, very different place in terms of what they will do compared to the start of the pandemic. So the first thing I would urge anyone to do is get in touch with their BDMs. If you're not opening your doors, then have a virtual catch up. They are the sort of most important cog in the wheel in terms of that connection from intermediary to lender. And then the last one is through distributors like ourselves. Simply Biz, we put on a huge host of events. We're delighted to have been able to start getting back to face-to-face, but we will continue a program of face-to-face alongside virtual. And these educational events and webinars that both ourselves, lenders, and of course other distributors host are extremely valuable in managing the complexities and the sheer pace and level of change that's occurred in the market since COVID became a thing in all of our lives.
And Rob, Richard touched on how distributors can help. From a lender's perspective, what can brokers and their clients do to educate themselves on the complexities of the market?
I think everything Richard said there around engaging with your lender, well, you can argue I would say that because I've got a team of BDMs that would love to go knock on your door, and we do events with all of the chaps and their firms are on here. I think one of the key messages I've learned, and I've been in the intermediated lending market since about 2004-05, is that the education is massive, and it's not thinking you know the lender, because some lenders have changed immeasurably in the specialist market in the last 18 months, 2 years. And I look at Castle Trust, during the pandemic, we became a bank. And when we do our presentations now with the guys on joint ventures here, the first thing we say is forget what you've ever known about Castle Trust, because we're going to start again with a blank sheet of paper. Criteria's changed, pricing's changed, products have changed. And as a broker, it's incredibly difficult to keep abreast of all those changes. And I think engaging with the aggregators, engaging with the distributors is so important, but also directly with the BDM itself. It's been lovely. Last week we were at a trade event, and this next week we've got 3 more, and getting the BDMs out on the road to speak to brokers and the education. And it's really important to let brokers know what we don't do just as much as what we do.
Thank you very much. And thank you all for joining me today. And again, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and join us again next time.